made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of it? No, not at all, huh?
No, I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn, huh?
I just want to rap.
Okay guys, Frank Style, just a guy from Brooklyn. I'm here to give you a brand new kind of retrospective on a movie that I just saw for the first time. It's called Possession. It came out in 1981. Just some current events. I just recently did a huge ranking for Halloween for October of unholy horror movies. And I also, for the month of October, did a huge podcast. I guest starred on the B Team. You can find them on Spotify. I did a huge episode hosted by Josh Krubner from Restricted Media. And we covered 80s horror. We went for 4 hours. I'm talking favorite kills, favorite movies. We gave our top 10s. We also gave some great recommendations, some nice under the radar hits. Usually with my reviews, there are new movies. I try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. I do them very, very structured where I give you the good, the bad, the in between. I'm not doing that for this type of movie. It's a very, very old movie. I just plan on free cocking it here.
He's doing it. Look at the little fella. He's doing it.
Huge spoiler warning. I plan on talking in depth about the entire movie with everything from reveals to key plot points, key scenes. Possession is a psychological supernatural horror movie involving divorce. It is a French and German collaboration, and this movie was banned from both the US and the UK. They did eventually remove 1/3 of the movie and then released it. This movie was both written and directed by Andrzej Zulawski. The movie centers around a married couple. Mark, the husband, played by a very, very young Sam Neill of Jurassic Park fame. His wife, Anna, played by Isabelle Adjani. I hear her performance in this movie. She did get some awards. She's very well high praised in the horror community for her performance. Starting off at the beginning of the movie, Mark returns from a long trip. He has not seen his wife, Anna, in a while. I didn't know this while watching, but I found out later he's some sort of international spy, and finding out that later was odd. I don't know if it really fits within the movie, but it might explain certain things that happen towards the end of the movie. So they get back together, they get upstairs, and the first thing that I noticed, and I noticed this throughout the movie, is whenever anyone like has a sex scene or sex is implied, for some reason they constantly show the couples laying in bed face up, and this is before any type of physical activity, which I found so weird. And like at the end of the conversation, I guess it was like, okay, let's have sex. I mean, uh, that's not how I do it, but I don't know if this was some sort of possible kind of thing to let you know these people have problems. A little bit later, we get a phone call scene. Mark's on the phone with Anna. Anna is basically admitting that she is in an affair. Mark is obviously, he's just shocked. He has questions. She's like just straight spitting out the truth in ways that you would not expect a married couple to have this conversation. It's like, so did you sleep with him? Yeah. Did you like it? Yeah. Is he better than me? Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
It got awkward really quick. This is a horror movie, and so I'm expecting some sort of big thing to happen to kind of explain whatever craziness that's happening, at the beginning. After this, Anna leaves Mark and Bob, their son, and poor Bob, this little boy, is like constantly neglected throughout this movie. I mean, this movie takes place in West Berlin. I don't know if they have child services back then, but Somebody should have made a fucking call. I mean, come on. Things start to get weird as Anna, even though she's left Mark and Bob, every little once in a while comes back home and pretends that everything is fine. She shows up, she starts cooking for them. Obviously, Mark is like, what the fuck? He's questioning her. She's preparing some red meat. I think she's trying to like hamburger the meat. She's cutting it with an electric knife. And out of fucking nowhere, she takes the electric knife to her neck and tries to cut her own fucking head, or at least slice her throat. Okay, so at this point in the movie, I'm like, this woman is not all there. There's something going on here. It's obviously she's nuts, or maybe the movie's called Possession, right? Maybe she's possessed. Okay, this is what I'm going with. She's nuts, right? Shortly after, he's sitting down with the exact same electric knife, and he just starts carving into his arm. Slice here, slice there. Okay, she's crazy. I guess he's nuts too. Enter the other man. Now, the other man is a man called Heinrich. Heinrich just happens to be my favorite character in the entire movie. Mark, little by little, gets to learn about who Heinrich is. He finds out where Heinrich lives, and he seeks him out. He goes to his home. I'm like, oh shit, shit is about to fucking go down, right? Heinrich is an older man, he's not your typical stud, like you would think it'd be some sort of, studly guy or good looking man. This is an older man, kind of flamboyant. And what caught me off guard is Mark is talking to him, and he's very touchy. He's like grabbing Mark by the hands. Like these guys are like old friends or something, or even more. I could not understand what I was seeing here. Heinrich is just kind of very braggadocious about what's going on with him and Anna. Oh, he definitely is trying to be studly. He's got his shirt like all unbuttoned, showing out his chest hairs or whatever. This man was quite like just ole, and he's talking with Mark. Out of nowhere, Mark tries to attack him, and he does some sort of martial art kind of judo chop on him, throws him to the ground. Basically, Heinrich busts Mark's ass. This gave me a little bit of a chuckle. It was weird. Mark then goes through a depression. He's drinking, he's not shaving, he's not bathing, he looks like crap. I would say this is the most sanest thing of both divorce and what's going on in this movie. He's having a tough time. All of a sudden, he's a single father. He's not handling things well. He just got his ass kicked. There's like a friend character. I don't know if it's Anna's friend or his friend or both, but she's constantly helping the both of them out, I guess. Eventually, Mark kind of gets his act together. He begins to be that single dad. He starts taking Bob to school. Enter the character Helen. This is Bob's teacher. When picking up Bob from school, Helen is ridiculously good looking. She's got beautiful, bright green eyes. She also looks very, very similar to Anna. It's not a huge encounter, but eventually, like, she shows up at Mark's home to check on Bob, and the next thing you know, they're kind of having a strange type of relationship. They're getting to know each other a little better. And in the snap of a finger, they're in bed, of course, face up. They're having this conversation, and she actually says at one point, I want you to make love to me, like they haven't done it yet. The thing about Helen looking so much like Anna is I believe they're trying to do a kind of doppelganger thing. Mark hires a private investigator to find Anna because he finds out that she's not always with Heinrich. She actually is with Heinrich for small amounts of time. She's somewhere else. He wants to find out what the hell is going on. He hires this private dick to go find her. He does follow her. He does figure out where she's at. She's in some sort of old beat up building. The private eye eventually does some sort of trick to get into the apartment. The private eye goes into the bedroom and finds a mattress on the ground. He then goes into the following room and he sees a monster. This is like the first indication that this movie is actually a horror movie. This is a very weird kind of Lovecraftian tentacle monster. She grabs a nearby bottle and stabs the private eye with it, kills him. And this is followed up later by like a police officer starts to investigate the disappearance of the PI, and literally the same thing happens. This was my first feeling of, okay, here we go. This is now a horror movie. This is going to explain everything for me. Moving on, we get to this ballet scene. You have Anna teaching ballet to a bunch of young girls. She has them lifting up one leg and kind of posing. And one girl is having trouble. She goes right up to the little girl, holds her one of her legs up, holds her arm up, and she's like forcing the girl to like keep the pose. And it's just so awkward, lengthy. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Why are they focusing on this? Fast forward a bit, you have this huge scene, might be considered the biggest scene in the whole movie, where Anna is taking the subway and she's got a bag of groceries. It's a very, very weird, long scene as well. Anna just loses it. She throws the groceries up against the wall. There's eggs, milk everywhere, just tossed around. She just loses her fucking mind. It felt like some sort of dance. All I could think of was, damn, that's a waste of some good groceries. Why is there no one else in the subway? The subway was completely empty. And at the end of this thing, as if shit couldn't get any crazier, she gets on her knees and starts leaking. There's blood coming out of her body. I think milk, multiple liquids of different colors just releasing into a huge puddle on the ground. Fast forward a bit more, and we have Heinrich decides to pay Anna a visit to her place. And he's there to be that stud muffin who's seducing Anna up against the wall. He just notices that there's like a bad smell coming from the kitchen. He goes to the fridge and there's like dead body parts. I guess the police officer and the private eye, you got their hands, their head in the fucking fridge. And then of course, he finds the monster. He does react to all this stuff and he confronts Anna about it. Next thing you know, Anna's got the upper hand on him. She pulls out a knife, sticks him a few times in his sexy ass chest. This guy just whoop Mark's ass like with some judo shit. There's no doubt in my mind he could easily take on this woman with a knife who's obviously not all there. She stabs him in the armpit. After that, I'm like, oh, I don't care, man, woman, I'm punching somebody in the face. They trying to kill me. He does not do that. He kind of walks away. Does he walk to an emergency room? Does he go to a police precinct? No, he kind of just, walks off. I think he ends up in a bar later. Mark gets a phone call. I don't remember. It might have been Heinrich calling him, asking him for them to meet. And so he's there with that friend character that I mentioned before. She's just coming in with Bob, and he gets the call. He's like, I gotta go. Can you watch Bob for me, to the friend? And when he says this, she just collapses to the ground. What just happened? Eventually, Mark meets up with Heinrich. These guys are like old pals, right? Like, you're fucking my wife. Hey, how you doing? Heinrich obviously is concerned. He's been stabbed in the armpit. He tells Mark what he's seen. One thing leads to another, and Mark kills Heinrich in a public bathroom, stages it, puts Heinrich's head in the toilet, which is pretty fucking gross, sprinkles drugs all over him, and then to make it look, I guess, like he OD'd or... Mark goes to pick up Bob again from school. He walks off with Bob, and she's like, come here. Come, I gotta tell you something. Okay. All right. I guess she wants to tell him something, you know? She hands him a little piece of paper. Okay. Love note, right? What's this? And she smiles at him with this big smile and says, my name. What the fuck? What is going on? These two were in like a relationship. They were in bed. They were laying in bed. Her titties were up in the air. They're talking about having sex. He never caught her name? What? I literally said this. The only thing fucking missing is Anna having sex with this monster. Would be the only, it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Everything else is crazy, right? So the only crazy logical thing that you could think of. And lo and behold, the next scene that I see is Mark goes to Anna's place and sees Anna laying flat on her back on the mattress while the monster, which is bigger, just having at it, going at it with her. Anna's just laying there, with every pelvic thrust. She's got this gaze in her eyes, and she keeps repeating the same word, which I believe was like almost. She kept going, almost. Mark almost looks like he's having an epiphany. Like now I see. It's fine, right? When I saw that sex scene, it wasn't a scene of shock. It was a scene of, number one, I predicted it like minutes before it happened. And number two, I got up and I was like, oh my God, look, it's really happening. And I was cracking the fuck up. 2 scenes later, Mark comes home. He finds the friend character dead and bloodied up, carries her body back up to the apartment, and Anna's there. Obviously, Anna killed the woman. Any sane person would call the police. Mark's like, oh, no, we're good. I'm gonna help you dispose of the body. And at the same time, Anna's like, take me now. Next thing you know, they're on the ground. They're on the kitchen floor in his apartment. Guess what? Face up, right? Face up, having a chat. Yeah, so at this point, we go from whatever the fuck I was watching to full-blown action movie now. There's concerns. I think the police are like figuring things out. Something's going on there. So we have a scene in which Mark jumps into the back of a taxi cab because he realizes the cops are nearby and they're watching. He jumps into the back of this cab with a gun, puts the gun to the cab driver's head, says, you're going to back this car up into that police car and ram him. The cab driver, most would be pissed, most would be stressed, most would be worried about their lives. This fucking guy turns his head over to Mark and is like, sure. There's this big shootout with the cab and the police, and Mark gets shot. Mark gets shot up. He gets out of there. He goes through like a few kind of chase scenes. There's a scene involving him riding a motorcycle with this like really like dramatic action-packed music that goes on way too long. Like you think it's gonna, I thought it was actually the end of the movie. He ends up at the top of like this huge spirally staircase. He's all bloodied up. He's been shot. He looks like he's been going through the fucking ringer. Anna and the monster show up. The monster is a clone of Mark. Oh, Mark looks all fucked up, bloodied up, shot, blood coming out of his mouth, fucked up. The monster version of Mark is like decked out in a nice suit, cleanly shaven, got this weird look on his face. Anna and the monster, or Mark Monster, or Monster Mark, go up all the way to the top of the steps. She introduces Monster Mark to real Mark. Well, the 3 of them are up there. The police close in and they shoot up all 3 of them. Now you see Anna and Mark laid out, but the monster is not hurt. He doesn't seem bothered by the fact that Anna's hurt. So I guess the love that she had for the monster is like a one-way street. He actually like moves to the farther end of the stairs and sees like a strange woman there. He hands the strange woman a gun and kind of glamours her to finish off Mark and Anna for good. And then Monster Mark, in very superhero fashion, leaps off the spiral straight down the middle, kind of like your Batman scene in Batman Begins. Police are everywhere, and for some really strange reason, the camera focuses on one particular police officer's socks, and they're bright pink. I have no fucking clue. I do hear that there are theories on the net. I'd love to hear them. I didn't know at the time, but we're reaching the final scene here. And you have Helen taking care of Bob in the apartment. Somebody's ringing the doorbell, and it's almost like Bob knows something. Helen seems to be oblivious to anything. She just probably thinks it's Mark. But in another strange turn of events, as Helen is going to the door to open the door for, I'm guessing, is Monster Mark. The little boy runs up the steps to the bathroom, which just happens to have the bathtub full of water. Why? I don't know. The boy throws himself face first into the water and he drowns himself. And then we focus in the final scene. You have a Helen, she's in like a darkness, and behind her is a door window, and Monster Mark is like up on the window like this kind of. This is your new family unit. You have a monster, you have a doppelganger. The darkness kind of creeps in and out, and you see a kind of strange look on Helen's face. And this is how the movie ends. In conclusion, Zalowski, the guy who wrote and directed this movie, says that this movie is an autobiography of his divorce. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he embellished a little bit here and there, right? This movie is extremely complex and has large amounts of symbolism all over the place. Even little scenes like Mark and Anna meeting at a coffee shop to talk. They're sitting on separate tables, looking in opposite directions. Everything is symbolizing the kind of separation. The movie takes place in West Berlin, and there are shots of the Berlin Wall crumbling down everywhere. This is also obviously meant to signify something coming down, something ending. There's just so many things that you can unpack here. This movie wants you to feel what somebody is feeling when they're going through a divorce. But all I saw was mass hysteria and the need for round-the-clock medication. It went from she's crazy to he's crazy to they're both crazy to everybody's crazy and everything in between. After the big scene with Anna being sexed up by the monster, I saw the movie as something different and actually enjoyed it as a horror comedy after. I myself went through a grueling divorce that took me years to recover from. It changed my life in many ways. I can relate to the insanity of what, somebody goes through when it comes to divorce. I felt it, I've been there. But nothing that I went through felt like anything that was displayed here. At the end of the day, this is a kind of masterpiece of chaos. It gets to join my list of many breakup movies and divorce movies. You got Midsommar, Better Off Dead, Kramer versus Kramer, War of the Roses, and everything in between. And it is easily the most unique of the bunch. Well, guys, time to wrap it up. And that's all for now, guys. From the city that never sleeps, from the borough of Brooklyn, happy Halloween, happy October.
See my face in lights, on my
Peace.
name on marquees found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't all the scenes. I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle.